how does it feel that you can, one, talk openly about the twist and just playing twin characters that are very different from each other, but not only different from each other from like our perspective as viewers, but two characters who haven't seen each other or been in each other's orbit for pretty much all of their lives. So what was it like creating that dichotomy between the two?
Yeah. Um, well, I mean, first of all, it's such a relief to talk about it. I remember I did Star Wars Celebration a year ago, over a year ago, and someone asked me a question. That was our first time talking about Star Wars publicly, and someone asked me a question like, "So what has it been like to work on this? Tell us about your character." And I said, "Oh, my characters." And then I just paused my tracks. And it went like slightly viral on Twitter. And I was like, oh no, Lucasfilm, they're gonna be upset with me. Oh no, how do I keep this a secret? So like to actually talk about it feels so good. Um, and it also feels good because I think that twins is just such a fun way into the Star Wars universe, to talk about these themes of light and dark
Yeah.
and yin and yang and this idea of balance and so I thought about that a lot with these characters. And I researched twins a lot. I thought about what kinds of twins I wanted them to be. I considered
Mhm.
making them like very similar to each other, making them feel really identical. But
Yeah.
then also because of the sort of mythical elements of the story, and I think the way that they're just kind of written on the page, I just thought making them as different from each other as possible so that this conflict between them really becomes an ideological conflict too in a visual way, I just thought would be cooler for the story.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing that's so cool about this, and what people were super excited about, was the fact that for so many Star Wars movies and shows, they're kind of most of them are set within the same period of the timeline. And for
Yeah.
this series, we get to jump back so far and kind of be able to, compare the two and just also just get a different feeling from kind of not to say that everything before has been similar, but just to view like a different point in time for you as someone who's, new to this universe, and was it kind of like more compelling to kind of have a story that's been removed from what a lot of people already are recognizing and used to?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially for Leslie, it was just a relief because she got to tell a story that was of her own invention entirely without worrying about the mechanisms and complications of lore. Um, and of course, lore is deeply respected within the show as well. But I mean, without having to weave it in to an already pre-existing narrative. And I also just find it to be one of the most interesting points in the Star Wars timeline period just because later we see the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Galactic Empire. And Star Wars has always kind of been about analyzing political systems and structures of government and saying, why did it go this way? What happened?
Yeah.
And so we get to see this particular institution at the height of its power and in a time of great peace, and we get to look at, okay, how is it possible that later on in the Star Wars timeline they got overthrown by an evil underbelly of the galaxy? So Leslie likes to say that she wanted to examine the cracks, and I think that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I would say the second gag outside of the twins was the gag that, my girl Indara, she kicked the bucket very early in the episode. And, again, in retrospect, I'm like, okay, that's why they kept showing us those fight scenes so it's so much early in the trailers and everything. But what was it like being able to work with Carrie-Anne Moss and like, just being able to have from the jump some of like the best fight choreo that we've seen in any Star Wars, even though, the characters, interactions were short-lived.
Oh, well, that's so dope that you feel that way. I am obsessed with all the fight choreography in it. I think our stunt team was so incredible, and I was just felt really blessed to work with them and with Carrie-Anne Moss. Um, it's so fun. It's been cracking me up seeing how people are responding to her kicking the bucket that early in
Yeah.
the show. Like, people are mad, but I think that's exactly what the point was, right? Like, I think that Leslie does a good job of doing this kind of tongue-in-cheek campiness that to me feels very Star Wars. And I think Carrie Ann dying was kind of a part of that. Like it was kind of a part of like having this epic cold open where you had somebody who I don't know, is just so esteemed and beloved and, doing the cheeky thing of killing them off. She is so wonderful. She was so kind to me. And we got really close. Like we got really close while we were working on that. And she's like the most non-violent, gentle, spiritual person you can imagine, which I think actually makes a lot of sense how she's able to sort of carry that power in her body.